My name is Luv Kothari. I'm a product manager in Google Play Store. I'm responsible for improving our understanding of Android apps, their content, their capabilities, and their attributes. And with that understanding and knowledge, we're improving how we connect users with great digital experiences and improve their lives.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ilya Firman. I'm a software engineer on the Actions on Google team. Actions on Google offers APIs for developers to integrate with the Google Assistant and other Google products. My focus is on bringing Android apps into the Actions on Google ecosystem.
So today, we're super excited to give you a sneak peek into App Actions. As Dave mentioned in the keynote this morning, App Actions will allow users to discover and re-engage with the capabilities and content from your apps in just the right moment. And as an Android developer, you will get an opportunity to get surfaced across multiple Google and Android surfaces and improve engagement and reach for your Android apps. Let's look at a couple of examples for this. With App Actions, users will be able to get things done quickly and seamlessly. Now imagine you're planning a Friday night out with your friends. Wouldn't it be great if you had a personal assistant which could help you accomplish tasks such as making the dinner reservation, getting movie tickets, getting a ride to the venue, and building a collage from the pictures taken during the evening? Now, Google Assistant was created to help users with these daily tasks. And for many of these tasks, the user may already have the perfect Android app on their devices. With App Actions, your Android app can integrate with Google Assistant and participate in these user journeys. Moreover, these App Action suggestions will also appear on other Google and Android surfaces to help users get things done and discover what their apps can do. With App Actions, users will also be able to go from the content they love to the actions they can take on that content to the relevant apps to fulfill those actions. Now imagine a Lady Gaga fan is searching for her latest hits. Wouldn't it be great if that user, while searching for that information, could also discover where to listen to her songs, watch her videos, find tickets for her upcoming concerts, and find updates about her? This is the ideal moment for the user to discover capabilities from the Android apps they already have. App Actions can help users re-engage with the apps they forgot they had, and also discover new opportunities and capabilities they did not know existed. We'll be bringing similar experiences to diverse content such as TV shows, movies, books, courses, sports, games, books, and more. As an Android developer, you know that re-engagement is a challenging problem. Users have hundreds of apps on their devices to choose from. Android Authority did a survey a couple of years ago and found out that 77% of Android users do not use an app after 3 days of installing it. And that number goes up to 90% after a month. You all have worked really hard for those app installs, but getting users to keep coming back to your app is a harder problem. Now, notifications and emails, they're all tools in your toolkit, but it's also possible that they can come across as spammy and annoying. It's much better to re-engage with the user in the right context and in the right moment. So today, we're going beyond simply predicting the next app the user would want to open to the next app or next action user would want to take. In an AI-first world, we want to assist users to find capabilities and content from your apps, even if that information is buried deep inside the app. So how will we make this happen? First, we're building a rich catalog of actions, or intents, as we call them. Essentially, think of them as verb plus noun. These are the ways you will define what your apps are capable of. Some examples: play music, play game, take course, order ride, order food. these are all intents in our catalog. For these intents, we will then build deep semantic understanding. Now, what do I mean by that? We will define detailed schemas with parameter specs and also define grammar, not only in English, but many other languages. Now, let's take a concrete example of checking air quality in Los Angeles. There are multiple ways a user can make that query. Some examples are right here. Check pollution in LA. Find smog levels. Check air quality report. What's the forecast for air pollution? And many other possible ways a user can make that query. Google will parse all of these queries and map them into one common built-in intent called check air quality. We'll also parse the right parameters, such as location being Los Angeles and time period being today. All of this will get then passed along to the Android app, which can then take the user to the right place inside the app and fulfill that action. As I said, we'll also define grammars in popular languages and provide natural language understanding. What's really powerful about this is that you get instant global reach without actually having to do the hard work of understanding languages, providing semantic understanding. We already support 16 languages, and we'll continue to expand that coverage. How do you participate? As an Android developer, you just need to add an actions.xml file in your APK. In this file, you need to register for the intents that your app is capable of and it supports, and tell us how to fulfill those actions via deep links. And Ilya will cover more of that, exactly how you can do that. Once you have exposed the capabilities and content of your apps, Google will then map user queries and context to your app and surface you in multiple highly used Google products, starting from Android, and within Android, the launcher and smart text selection, the Google Play Store, the Google Assistant, and the search app. Actions are not restricted to Android P and are available on all devices with the most recent versions of these apps. Let's walk through a few examples. And by the way, I'm super excited to be walking you through this. This is really amazing features we have worked really hard for the last few months to put together. This is my screen on my phone, the all apps and all app screen, as we call it. Last year, we introduced the concept of predicted app row. This is the operating system trying to predict the next app me as a user would want to open up. It's been working really great. As Dave mentioned this morning, we have about 60% prediction rate on this. It's phenomenal. But this year, we want to go further. We want to go from predicting the next app to predicting the next action user would want to take. So if you take a closer look, I see 2 action suggestions. And right around this time of the day, I'm typically commuting back home. I'm relying on Google Maps to navigate me through the crazy Bay Area traffic we have to deal with around here. I'm also talking to my wife, Tina, catching up on our day, and mostly strategizing on how to survive with 2 kids at home. Both of these actions take me deep inside the app to fulfill the task immediately. The actions are predicted based on my usage patterns, my routines, my app sequences, and also on the context I'm in, whether I'm in my car, whether I have my headset on, what else I'm doing. As another example, if I really plug in my headset in my phone, I'll get an action to resume an album or a playlist that I was listening to on my favorite music app. Actions are also integrated in smart text selection in Android. So let's say I get a recommendation to a new restaurant in the city called Flower Plus Water. And as I tap around on that text, smart text selection will recognize that it's a restaurant name. It'll select the whole text. It'll also try to map what possible actions, and then further, what possible apps can fulfill that action for that given entity. So as I select Flower Plus Water, I get a recommendation to use OpenTable, which is an app that I use a lot to make reservations on my phone. I can tap on that. It'll take me directly into the OpenTable app, where I can see more information, read reviews, and make that dinner reservation. All of this is getting powered using an on-device machine learning model. Any of the text that I'm selecting on the screen never leaves my device. so everything is secure and fast. Smart Text Selection's neural network will be able to recognize many other entities, such as TV shows, movies, athletes, musicians, flight numbers, and more. Actions will also surface in Play Store. Now, what's really phenomenal about this is that we all know there is an app for everything. And the Play Store is the place where users go looking for those apps and those capabilities. So let's say I search for Lady Gaga. I will get action suggestions to go inside any of these apps and fulfill those actions. Again, what's interesting is not only I get action suggestions for apps I have installed, but also the apps I've not installed. This is the universe of apps that exists out there. If I tap on something that is not installed, I'll go to the details page of that app. I can then install the app. And when I tap open, it'll again take me directly into the right place inside the app to fulfill that action. With app actions, users can discover new ways to re-engage with the content they already love. Actions will also work in Assistant. So let's say I ask Assistant to show me my budget on Mint. Assistant will understand that query. It'll parse it to show budget action inside the Android app. And again, the right place inside the app will get invoked, and I'll be able to fulfill that action. Here, I'm asking Assistant, what is Lady Gaga's real name? Now, of course, we'll understand the question, answer back with the right information. But the Assistant can also anticipate that I might be interested in knowing more about Lady Gaga and similar artists. So I get shown actions such as where all I can listen to her songs, watch her videos, buy tickets to her upcoming concerts. Back to the example I showed earlier in the presentation. It's a great way for users to discover capabilities about the apps they already have, and they're able to do so in the right moment. Again, tapping on any of these chips will take me directly into your Android apps, and then will let me fulfill the action I was intended to do. Finally, as Dave mentioned this morning in the keynote, you all saw this, we are exploring different ways to surface actions in Google search for apps that users already use a lot. As an example, if you search for the latest Avengers movie, Infinity War, in addition to regular suggestions, you will now get an action to Fandango app to buy tickets, assuming Fandango is an app that you use a lot and you have it on your phone. Really cool. Changing gears a little, actions or app actions are built as part of a broader Actions on Google developer platform. This platform provides common development tools, processes, and a set of building blocks, foundational building blocks, really. An example of this you already saw, intent catalog. This is the taxonomy of some built-in intents for which we'll provide deep semantic understanding. With structured data, you can provide Google the inventory for your actions. You can also report action usage via Firebase App Indexing and get recommended in personalized suggestions based on context and usage patterns. Identity and seamless digital subscriptions allow hassle-free transition across multiple device form factors and modalities. The two modalities available. Number one, Android app actions. That's what we've been talking about here. There is another one, which is conversational actions. And you've heard quite a bit about it in the consumer and developer keynote. These are the ones for you to build voice-powered experiences. You can also join a vertical program and deeply integrate with Google for enhanced discovery across multiple Google surfaces. So Google is defining a rich catalog of intents with schemas and grammars. As a developer, you sign up by providing us an actions.xml file where you can register for intents that your app supports. You also tell us how to fulfill those intents via deep links. And once you have done that, you get instant increase in reach and engagement across multiple Google and Android surfaces. Ilya, can you walk us through some of this and show us how this is working?
Thank you so much, Luv. I hope you guys are all as excited as we are about the opportunities offered by App Actions. You must be wondering, how do I sign up? Let me walk you step by step through the process of setting up actions for your app. At the core of app actions is actions.xml, a new configuration file that you can include in your Android APK. Actions.xml enables you to register for intents and to define fulfillment for those intents. Now, when we talk about intents in the context of actions on Google, we're talking about semantic intents. These are defined by the Actions on Google platform. These intents describe what your action does in a language that Google can understand. Intents can be built in, coming from that rich catalog of intents that Luv mentioned earlier, or custom intents that are defined by the developer. And while intents describe what an action does, fulfillment describes how your app does that action. For Android apps, fulfillment connects the semantic intent to the Android intent in the app. Together, intents and fulfillment define actions, and actions.xml is how you provide actions in your Android app. Once you've defined your intents and your fulfillment, you can help us personalize action suggestions by integrating usage logging into your app using APIs from Firebase App Indexing. You can also extend your reach beyond Android by building conversational actions. And you can enhance the way actions are presented to the user using slices, a new UI framework for surfacing deep in-app content. This is just a quick high-level overview of the app action setup process. Let us now walk through each step in detail, starting with intents. As Luv mentioned earlier, App Actions is built upon a new catalog of semantic intents that are published by Google as part of the Actions on Google platform. For each intent, we define a grammar that helps us recognize user queries and parameters that we can infer from the query and pass into your app. The intent catalog helps us organize the world of actions so we can show the right actions to the right user at the right time. We expect that most developers will register for one of our built-in intents. With built-in intents, you give Google a deep understanding of what your app does. Moreover, with built-in intents, you don't need to worry about natural language understanding. I imagine after I/O, you might want to ask your assistant to get a ride to SFO, or book a taxi to San Francisco Airport, or to order a cab to the San Francisco Airport. With built-in intents, you don't need to worry about all the different ways in which a user can express the same intent. Google takes care of natural language understanding. Your app just needs to provide fulfillment. Built-in intents give you support for many languages right out of the box, and they provide a one-stop shop for getting access to multiple UI surfaces. We will be adding more and more intents into the catalog over time. So if your particular use case is not covered, chances are it will be soon. And you will have a way to request new intents to be defined. And if your use case is truly unique, you can define a custom intent and build your own grammar using Actions Console, the equivalent of Play Console for Actions on Google developers. It is important to distinguish between semantic intents that are defined by Actions on Google and Android intents, a feature in the Android framework. As Android developers, you're probably familiar with Android intents. They describe specific Android operations in a way that allows Android apps to talk to each other. Semantic intents, on the other hand, are part of a larger catalog that extends beyond Android and includes the Assistant, Google Search, and other surfaces. For Android apps, actions.xml is what defines the mapping between semantic intents and specific Android intents in your app. Of course, you can build multiple ways to fulfill the same semantic intent across different types of devices. For example, let's say you're a bank and you want to support the check account balance intent. On Android, your mobile banking app is a great way to support that intent. But separately, you could build a conversational action so you can support a voice-only experience on Google Home or smart displays, using the tools that you've seen earlier in the Actions on Google talk. And if you'd like to learn more about how to transition from building for your Android app to building conversational experiences, you can come to a session dedicated to that on Thursday morning. Today, we will focus specifically on integrating your Android apps into the App Actions ecosystem. Now, if you're an Android developer, you're probably already familiar with intent filters, a native mechanism in Android to expose intents outside of the app. Intent filters define content types and data URIs that your app can accept. And those data URIs can come in the form of HTTP URLs or perhaps URLs in your own custom app-specific scheme. Actions.xml defines how a semantic intent inferred from a user's query or the user's context can be converted into a URL to open in your app. Android's intent filter logic then converts that URL into a specific Android intent to launch in your app. Now, why do we use URLs to connect semantic intents and Android intents? Deep link URLs are part of a larger app discovery ecosystem. You can link your app URLs to your web content using verified app links or sitemaps. With Google's structured data programs, you can precisely define the specific content that your app can support. And with Firebase App Indexing, you can enable Google to personalize action suggestions by identifying what users do when they use your app. All of these different features and programs use URLs to identify content in your app. So we've talked about intents. Now let's switch gears and talk about fulfillment. Fulfillment describes a specific mechanism to invoke a particular action in your app. Fulfillment is what tells Google how to determine the specific deep link URL to open for a given semantic intent. With actions.xml, you can use one of two models to provide fulfillment for a semantic intent. In the URL template model, we use the parameters of the semantic intent to dynamically construct a fulfillment URL at runtime. Actions.xml provides a URL template with placeholders for specific parameters. At runtime, we then take those parameters from the user intent and pass them into your URL. This model is ideal for action-centric apps with deep link APIs. In the content-driven model, we discover the fulfillment URL through your web content or your structured data. We use the user's query to find the relevant content in your web presence, and then we use actions.xml to connect the URL of that content with the appropriate intent. Of course, you must verify ownership of your web content before you can use it in your app. You can use Android's verified app links or connect your app with your website using the Google Search Console. All that's really needed for content-driven fulfillment is linking your actions.xml to your web pages. But the content-driven fulfillment model works best with structured data. While semantic intents describe the verbs that your app supports, structured data can describe the nouns, the inventory of your app. Google provides a variety of structured data programs. Some of them use web markup, some of them use hosted data feeds. Many of you probably already participate in these programs. You can use our structured data developer site to see if there's a vertical program that fits your specific use case. And you can also find a link to the tool that you can use to test your markup. So how do you actually submit your actions.xml to Google? Perhaps you're developing your app in Android Studio, and you can include your actions.xml in the same Android project and the same APK that you submit to the Play console. Play console then parses your actions.xml and registers your actions in the Actions on Google database. This registration allows your app to respond to queries and appear in suggestions in various Google products. And how can you test that your actions work before you submit your app to Play? You can use our new plugin for the Android Studio called the App Actions Test Tool. With this tool, you can validate your actions.xml and submit it to Actions on Google in the special preview mode, which makes your actions available just for your own developer account. You can then test how Google Assistant would invoke your app with different combinations of semantic intents, semantic intent parameters. But enough talk. Let's take a look at some demos. In this first example, I will show you how the URL template-based fulfillment model works. I will show you my favorite taxi app that we built a couple of weeks ago for this session, integrates with the order ride built-in intent. Now, can we switch the slides for just one moment? Switch to slides. Thank you. The order ride intent comes with 4 parameters for pickup location, drop-off location, pickup time, and drop-off time. Each of these parameters is defined as a schema.org entity. And you can see on the slide how we parse out the parameters of that entity from a user invocation. And now let's switch to the laptop. So what you can see on your screen is Android Studio. And in my Android project, I have my actions.xml file opened. You can see here that I'm registering my taxi app for the order ride intent. And I'm providing a URL template. In this case, it happens to be an HTTP URL, but you can also use in-app app-specific URLs or intent URIs. And in this case, there are placeholders in the URL template for two parameters, for the drop-off and pickup address. These parameters are then mapped to the parameters of the intent. The placeholders are mapped to the parameters of the intent. Now, let's bring up the App Actions test tool. When I click the Load Actions button, the tool will validate my actions.xml, parse it, and submit it to Actions on Google in preview mode. So I can test what would happen if I pass this particular parameter. When I click Run, oops. For some reason, my phone decided to switch into landscape mode. But OK, I think I made the point. The tool passes a parameter to the app. And the way this happens is the tool simulates what Google Assistant would do if it received a particular semantic intent with particular parameters. More specifically, the tool constructs an action link. And you might have seen action links earlier today in the Actions on Google talk. And this is a deep link to a specific semantic intent in the assistant. Let's switch to slides, please. We've talked about the template-based fulfillment model. Now let's talk a little bit about how the content-driven model works. We have worked with Coursera to integrate their app with app actions. Coursera is signing up for the take course intent from our catalog. This intent today takes a single parameter of type schema.org_course. And you can see how we are parsing properties of that schema.org_course from a user invocation. Now, Coursera happens to annotate all of their course web pages with structured data. And we can infer from this structured data what the name of the course is, what the course is about, and what the specific deep link URL for that course is. And since Coursera is using verified app links, we can use the same URL to open the Coursera app on the device. Let's switch to the laptop, please. Thank you. Here is the what actions.xml could look like for Coursera. Coursera is signing up for the take course intent. And for the course parameter of that intent, there is an inventory reference, an entity set reference, that ties this intent registration to schema.org course structures located on these web pages. And the URL template in this case just takes the URL discovered from structured data and adds a referrer param. Again, we can bring up the App Actions test tool, submit actions in preview mode. And let's see what would happen if I wanted to study machine learning.
That's the same thing again.
The Coursera app opens to the specific deep link for the machine learning course. And if demo gods smile at us, perhaps we can also see what would happen if I try the query. What is deep learning? So here, Google is giving us the assistant is giving us a knowledge answer explaining what deep learning is. But underneath that answer, there's a suggestion to learn more by taking a course with Coursera. And when I click on that link, it opens a specific deep link to a course in the Coursera app. Let's switch back to slides, please. So you've seen how you can define your intents and fulfillment using the actions.xml configuration file. You can further help us discover your apps, help users discover your apps by integrating usage login into your app using Firebase App Indexing APIs. Action logging through Firebase App Indexing helps Google provide personalized suggestions based on the user's context and usage patterns. For example, if you often listen to jazz music on your evening commute, we may show you a suggestion to play cool jazz radio when you get into the car. Or if we know that you keep watching Altered Carbon, we may give you a helpful suggestion when the next episode comes out. Action logging can help your app rank better in these personalized action suggestions. This is not a new API, but we have made changes to the API specifically to support app actions. You can now tie each reported event to a specific semantic intent and specific parameter values. Of course, users remain in control of their data at all times. They can see and control all of their logged activity using the My Activity website, and they can opt out of action logging altogether. I will now pass the stage to Luv, who will talk to you about how you can enhance your actions by adding rich UI and conversational fulfillment.
Thank you, Ilya, and thank you, Demo Gods. This was amazing to see this happening in front of us, and it was incredible. I want to give a big shout out to multiple teams, multiple product teams that have worked together on this feature. If you imagine, right, you have Android as a developer ecosystem, and you got Actions on Google. It's never easy when you try to make both of these ecosystems work together as seamlessly as you're just seeing here. To recap, as a developer, you could participate in Actions by registering your app and the actions in your app in the actions.xml file. You can provide fulfillment with URLs, either a URL template or a structured data. You can report action usage using Firebase App Indexing to help your app rank better. However, app actions, as we think of it, is just the first step in your journey with actions. There are more ways with which you can enhance actions and further increase engagement with users. First, you can use slices to enhance action representation through rich UI templates. And second, you can build conversational experiences and multimodality experiences for Google Assistant. Let's take a quick look. Slices enhance action presentation through templates. These templates are designed to appear outside the app in Android system UI, like notifications, or in other Google platforms like Assistant and Search. These templates support flexible layouts, interactive controls, like sliders and toggles, and dynamic data, like real-time pricing, served directly from the app on the user's phone. Slices are compatible with devices on API 19 or above. Essentially, it enables you to get to about 95% of Android devices that are out there. Pretty cool. This year, Slices will launch on Google Search on Android. If you want to learn more, we have a whole session dedicated to Slices. It's tomorrow at 8:30 on stage 4. Hope to see you there. But what about all these new devices and platforms that are coming into market? Things that you heard from Brad in developer keynote this afternoon. You can extend your services to new devices and form factors by building conversational actions and multimodality experiences for Google Assistant. Again, to learn more, please attend our technical session on Thursday morning at 10:30 on stage 4. Actually, it's 9:30. My bad. So hope you are as excited about this project as we are. Many Android developers are already building support for actions, and I hope you will as well. If you're interested, please let us know at g.co/appactions. You can learn more about the project on that page, sign up for further updates, newsletters. We'll be starting an early access program next month. Hopefully, some of you will sign up for that. We'd love to hear your feedback, and very specifically on built-in intents, the catalog that we're building for intents. Over the next 2 days, we have quite a few venues to answer any burning questions that you have. We have presence in office hours. We have presence in both sandboxes in Android as well as Assistant, where we can show you more of these things live and answer any questions that you have. Again, we have 2 more sessions, one on Slices tomorrow morning and one on conversational actions on Assistant the day after tomorrow. And fairly soon, you'll be able to upload the actions.xml file with on your app using Play Developer Console. Thank you. We'd love to hear from you. If you have any feedback, give it to us on this website. Thank you so much.